Welcome to the Crawcast. I'm your host, George Krawczak, and these are my predictions for Week 12 of the NFL season. And if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button like it owes you money. The first game of the week is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cleveland Browns. I think the Steelers are going to win. The reason I say that is because the Browns are just a disaster right now. Their defense isn't playing well, their offense isn't playing well. And then the Steelers, even though their offense didn't play well really at all last week, their defense really stepped up and played well. And this will be a very interesting game because I do think it will be pretty close because it's a divisional game. And almost all divisional games are super close. These teams know each other inside and out. Although I do think the Steelers overall are a much better team. The next game is the Detroit Lions versus the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Lions are going to win. This is interesting to me because there's two factors that really changed last week that intrigues me. Is number one, Anthony Richardson. He played really, really great last week. So I'm wondering, is he just good now? Has he turned a corner and figured out the NFL? Or was that just kind of a one-off against a very bad Jets defense? So who knows, but that's going to be interesting. And then Alex Anzalone. He broke his forearm. He's probably going to be done for the regular season. We'll see if he can come back in the playoffs. And that's going to be interesting to me because the Lions linebackers are going to need to step up. You have a running quarterback, you have Jonathan Taylor, and then you need Jack Campbell and Malcolm Rodriguez to really step up and play well. So far, I don't think they've played that great. They haven't been absolutely horrible. They just haven't played that great. So that'll be interesting how those matchups work out. But overall, I think the Lions are going to win. It's just because their offense is just so good. It's hard to take into account last week's game when talking about the Lions, just because the Jaguars are so bad. But the Lions, their offense is the best offense in the NFL, I'd say. And then their defense, I think, has just been kind of average. But that's all you need, just an average defense to go for an amazing offense. So I think the Lions will win. Although I think this does have an opportunity to be pretty close if Anthony Richardson does play really great. The next game is the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Carolina Panthers. I think the Chiefs are going to win. This is kind of self-explanatory. The Panthers are bad. No two ends about it. They're just bad, and the Chiefs should win. The Chiefs should dominate. If this is even close, this feels like a failure on the Chiefs. This really shouldn't be a game at all whatsoever, and the Chiefs should just dominate the Panthers like the Lions dominated the Jaguars last week. The next game is the Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. I think this will be an upset. I think the Bears will win. The Bears actually looked really good last week, and their new offensive coordinator did do a lot of running with Caleb Williams, and I think that could fool Brian Flores' defense in the sense that they're great against the pass, but they do struggle a bit against the run. And the Bears, again, they turned a corner and looked great, so I think this will be an upset. It is a divisional matchup. Divisional matchups are always close and good games. Although the Vikings are a good team. Sam Darnold's been playing well. Their offense is pretty good, although they occasionally stagger, and their defense has just been great. So I just think this will be an upset. The Bears are going to win, although it could go either way, and this will be a close game. The next game is the Houston Texans versus the Tennessee Titans. I think the Titans are going to win. I think this will be another upset. The Texans offensive line has been struggling a lot. CJ Stroud did play pretty decent last week, and Joe Mixon has played great, although I think the Titans defense is decently good. It's just that their offense has been letting them down. And I think as long as Will Levis can just play decent, I think the Titans will win this. And the Texans feel like they're kind of on a downturn, and they've been struggling quite a bit. And it's hard to say what to fix with them because they've just been injured, and it's mainly their offensive line that's been injured, as well as Stephon Diggs. He's injured and out for the year. So overall, I think the Titans are going to win. Although, again, this is a divisional matchup. It will be close, and it could go either way. The next game is the Miami Dolphins versus the New England Patriots. I think the Dolphins are going to win. So far, since Tua's come back, the Dolphins have just looked spectacular. And honestly, it just really sucks and looks unfortunate for them because it feels like if Tua never got injured, they would be a playoff team. They would be one of the best teams in the NFL. And they just kind of haven't looked good because they didn't have a quarterback for a long period of time. Like I said, if a lot of the other ones, this is a divisional matchup. It will be close. Drake May has also looked really good. It's just that I don't think the Patriots as a whole are a good team. And the Dolphins' offense is really rocking, and their defense has been doing pretty decent. So overall, I think the Dolphins will win this, and I think it will probably be moderately close. I don't know. I think this one could be a blowout in the sense that the Dolphins are a much better team than the Patriots and should win. The next game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New York Giants. I think the Buccaneers are going to win. The Giants are officially tanking. And the reason why we know this is because they benched Daniel Jones, which I think they're benching him because they don't want him to get injured and they want to cut him after the season. Plain and simple that. But the reason why I think they're tanking is because they're starting Tommy DeVito over Drew Lock. And Drew Lock, even though he hasn't played great, I definitely think he's earned an opportunity to potentially be a starting quarterback in the NFL and save his career because he's had decent games. It's just that he hasn't been able to consistently do that. Whereas Tommy DeVito, he really hasn't been that great, and just the Giants are just trying to get the best draft pick possible to draft either, Ewers or maybe Shadir Sanders. Who knows? But they're definitely taking a quarterback. And the Buccaneers, they've been dealing with injuries a lot with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin injured. I think Mike Evans might be coming back. I had to check on that one. But overall, I just think the Buccaneers are a much better team, and the Giants don't want to win any more games for the rest of the year. And Baker Mayfield, he's been playing pretty decent, and just overall, the Buccaneers are a better team. The next game is the Washington Commanders versus the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Commanders are going to win. The Cowboys are just terrible, plain and simple. The Commanders, even though Jane Daniels didn't play well last week, their offense and defense are just both better than the Cowboys. The Cowboys' defense has been struggling with injuries, and their offense has been struggling injuries with too, with no Dak Prescott. And it's just curious to me if they're going to fire Mike McCarthy at the end of the year. I don't know. I think he's kind of earned the opportunity to stay with the Cowboys because he's gotten 12 wins every single year except for this year where you can just kind of say, okay, there's been tons of injuries and injuries aren't his fault. But overall, the Commanders are a better team. Jane Daniels, hopefully this will be a good bounce back game for him. And then the Commanders defense has just been playing really, really well so far. The next game is the Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Broncos are going to win. The Broncos are just a much better team than the Raiders. Their offense is playing really well and really clicking with Bo Nix at quarterback. He's been playing well. Cortland Sutton at wide receiver's been playing well. And then their defense has just been really outstanding. That's kind of surprised me quite a lot of how good the Broncos defense has been this year. And the Raiders, they're just completely collapsing. They have no offensive line. They have no run game. They have no quarterback. Other than Max Crosby and Brock Bowers, that's basically their team right there. And they're just going to be complete rebuild come next year with Tom Brady as ownership and as the new part owner. We'll see how he does. And just overall, it's been a disaster for the Raiders. And I think the Broncos should win. Even though this is a divisional matchup, the Broncos should win. The next game is the San Francisco 49ers versus the Green Bay Packers. I think the 49ers are going to win. This one is going to be really close, I think, because I've been really going back and forth on who to pick for this game. Because, well, number one, it seems like there's going to be a battle between who's the worst linebacker in the NFL between Quay Walker and Devondre Campbell, so that'll be interesting. And then the 49ers, they're a good team. They've just been ravaged by injuries. Their pressure felt like it completely fell off once Nick Bosa left the game, and it seems like he probably won't play this week. And then with the Packers, they just haven't been playing well. They barely beat the Bears and looked horrible last week, and they shouldn't have beat the Bears. Although I think the Packers do have the opportunity to be a really good team, and once they do click, and it feels like the Packers are kind of on a spectrum in the sense they either play really amazing or they play absolutely terrible. Like, I was initially going to lean towards the Packers, but then I just kind of thought that the 49ers, everyone's fighting for their job. They're trying to make the playoffs. This win kind of means more for the 49ers than the Packers because the Packers are probably not going to win the division. And I think this will be a really exciting game. I think this will be an insanely close game, and I really think it could go either way. The next game is the Arizona Cardinals versus the Seattle Seahawks. I think Cardinals are going to win. Kyler Murray has played really, really great so far, and the Cardinals' defense has just been really amazing. And that's shocking to me because it feels like their only real superstar is Budda Baker. And then other than that, their defense isn't that great, but their defense has just been playing amazing. And the Seahawks, even though Jackson Smith-Njigba has been playing pretty good, Geno Smith has been kind of average, and the run game's been struggling a bit, and I just don't like the Seahawks' defense. So overall, I think the Cardinals are going to win. And I think this does have opportunity to be a blowout for the Cardinals. And I just think the Cardinals are just a much better team than the Seahawks this year. And it could be close because it's a divisional game, but I think it's more likely to be a blowout for the Cardinals than be an insanely close game. The next game is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the LA Rams. I think the Rams are going to win. I think Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, their offense has really been humming and clicking nicely. I think all of them have been playing great. Their defense does show a lot of cause for concern because I don't think their defense is really that good. But the Eagles, man, they're also playing really well. Jalen Hurts played well. Saquon Barkley's been amazing. Um, and then Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, I think they're playing decent. I think last week was a little bit overstated in the sense that I think Jaden Daniels just played horrible more than Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell played amazing. But it's going to be a tough test for them because they have two great wide receivers in Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. They have a great quarterback in Matthew Stafford. And that's why I'm leaning towards the Rams, just because I think the Rams' offense is better than the Eagles defense. But this will be a very interesting game. I think it'll be a pretty close game, and it could go either way. The final game of the week is the Baltimore Ravens versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I think the Ravens are going to win. This one I kind of really went back and forth in the sense that I think the Ravens have a better offense than the Chargers, but the Chargers have a better defense than the Ravens. And I kind of went back and forth in the sense that, like, I think the Ravens offense is one of the best in the NFL, and the Chargers defense is kind of above average, whereas I don't like the Ravens defense really much at all, and then the Chargers offense I think is probably average to above average, and so kind of balancing that out, I think these are two pretty even teams, and I think this will be a really good game. I'm just picking the Ravens just because I think with Lamar Jackson playing the way he is and just playing so well, I think that they're going to be really hard to stop, even though the Steelers did stop them last week. And the Chargers really felt like they should have lost that game last week because they had so many blown opportunities and blown plays where the Bengals should have won. And it's just going to be a very interesting game how this pans out. I think this will be a very close one, but I think the Ravens are going to win. So that's my thoughts in week 12 in the NFL season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to hit that subscribe button like it owes you money. I'll see you on the next one.